we have a framework for everything we do, don't we? You know, be it on set, I have to hit that mark. And be on stage, you know, I have to respect the lighting design. So I have to make sure that I'm delivering that monologue in that space, and it's my job to make it look natural.
Today's guest is Kate Tydman, whose incredible body of work includes The Motive and The Cue and Top Girl for the National Theatre, The Entertainer and Macbeth for Kenneth Branagh Theatre Company, Much Ado About Nothing, Evita, Mary Poppins and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, to name but a few. Kate has also been seen in movies such as Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express and Cinderella, and she can also be seen on the TV series Doctor Who. Please welcome the fabulous Kate Tydman. Kate, thank you so much for coming to Intimacy 360, looking at intimacy from every angle. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's amazing to have you here. As the audience would have heard in your introduction, you have such an incredible career. You've had such an incredible career and worked on some amazing shows and really diverse body of work. And what I'd love to know is, how have you found the transition of coming through the world as a dancer in musical theatre to then working in TV and film and theatre as an actress in regards to intimacy? Have you seen a change how you have maybe experienced it as a dancer in the younger days to like now?
How dare
still,
you, younger days.
The younger days, back when we were dancers, when we were still kicking our height, you still can, to like now when working as an actress in TV and film.
I mean, it's shifted so much. I mean, I've been doing it for just shy of 25 years, yes. I think now, and I think having trained as a dancer primarily, you know, I mean, you know what it's like, kind of just it's obviously physical and touchy and sort of just. I think when I think back, the main thing that I sort of take away from all those years is sort of the lack of voice that we had, you know, or didn't have.
Yes.
And sort of that's a huge difference for me to sort of see where I am now, everything that I've come through in every different branch of the industry that I've worked in, and so sort of where I am now. I feel very lucky that I'm in a world now where I have a voice. Absolutely. As a woman, as a dancer, as an actor, as a singer, and as a teacher as well, because I teach a lot of the younger generation, and I think that's been huge growth within that side of things. But I think I found it really difficult because having trained as a dancer, you know, we just didn't. We didn't have that, didn't we? We didn't have a choice,
expectation.
Did we?
You just got on with it. And
you just do it.
And did you find that with that times when you look back, at the time when I was just getting on and doing it, I actually didn't realise I was just getting on and doing it.
No.
It was just innate. It was just all you knew. Well,
yeah, and you know, the reality of it is you're probably going to have a chair thrown at you, wouldn't you, if you didn't do it in some situations.
And this is the truth.
But
yeah, I've dodged a few.
Yeah,
it's true.
But I think then also, so the idea of, you know, when you get into partner work or working physically with somebody else lifting and being very close and being intimate, sort of from an acting point of view through dance.
Yes.
I think those things sort of never really came up that much in those days because there was sort of so much else to think about and get over, mm-hmm. and those moments are actually the things I quite enjoyed.
Yes.
At the time, personally.
Yes.
For me, because I was so worried about my next exam or my next. But I think we've come such a long way, and wow, what a difference it could have been had we had that voice back then and that support and that encouragement. But I think what's funny is that having come from that world and then gone into musical theatre and then got into straight acting, I still sometimes find it funny when I'm in a play, because I'm very physical. I think we all are. I touch people and I talk to them. I've had to learn to refrain a bit on that. Because it's just natural to you as a dancer, isn't it?
But touch isn't a bad thing. This is another thing that I think is really important that we need to establish although I work as an intimacy director, coordinator, and I work in education, and one of the first things I talk about when I'm working with new learners about intimacy, saying touch isn't a bad thing. It's about open, clear communication and when it's going to happen, why it's going to happen. Once we know these things and we're in agreement and consent, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's but we use touch. We go for a massage. We go to the hairdressers. All these things we do in day-to-day life, and also we use verbal, non-verbal cues. Like, you know, you'll see a friend, you haven't seen for ages, and you'll hug them. You have these natural connections with people, and it's just about learning how we communicate those boundaries, because sometimes it's not verbal, it's non-verbal as well.
Yeah, and getting used to people's responses. A couple of years ago, I was doing a play, and I sort of was chatting with this, and I was sort of touching their leg, and I was and this guy was like, I don't really like being touched that much. Yeah. And I was like, I was mortified.
Yes, and you don't realise.
Of course, you know.
Yeah, but also you can be in that situation like I'm quite a touchy person, you know, absolutely. Yeah. And when I think about our training, and then when we went into the industry, I'd be laying in the wings in rehearsals, laying on top of frames. We'd all be just like sprawled over each other. And I don't naturally do that as I've got older now.
No.
I don't naturally, you know, I don't sprawl myself over like my work colleagues. And I actually looking at the younger generation that are coming through the doors now, you know, and I look at how they advocate for their boundaries. But they're still very touchy. When I go into institutes to teach, I see the learners, they're still very touchy-feely. But maybe not as much touchy-feely as our generation was.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, so I think they're much more aware of that.
Yeah, but isn't that brilliant? I think when I teach, I think that makes me really happy that we are putting people out into the industry with, you know, actors, performers of integrity in the way that they hold themselves in regards to others, in the way that they respond to others from an intimate point of view, an intimate scenario, and how they treat people. And it's like, it's that awareness that we are all different. I think that for me is the biggest thing that I've learnt over the last few years. You know, sort of, you train as a dancer, and you kind of, it's blanket training, isn't it? Really, it's, you know, you just got to do it, and you've got to get better, and you've got to be better, and the leg's got to be higher, and you got to.
Although the left leg was never going to get
there.
The left leg was never going to get there. For all the Teen China, the left leg was never going to get there. To know what they was trying, it was never going to happen.
We've always got the right. But I think it's I like that idea. I like that idea that hopefully we're sending people out now, or young actors are going out there sort of knowing their boundaries and understanding that everybody's boundaries are different. Every set is different. Every rehearsal studio is going to be different. Every director is you know,
every venue, all these things.
And kind of just going, okay, I have all of this to bring, and I can't wait to find out what all of yours is as well, and then let's see how that's going to work together.
What sort of practice do you have in place for yourself to be able to communicate your boundaries when you're working on set or in a rehearsal room? As now, you know, as we get older, we sort of find our voice more, generally. Yeah. I know I certainly have for myself. And I'm find it much easier to speak about my requirements, my boundaries, and every day when I was younger. What sort of practices do you have in place for that yourself? Do you have any? Well,
I've definitely changed and grown in that way. I certainly voice anything that I feel uncomfortable with straight away, be it from an intimacy point of view or anything in the rehearsal studio. I just think open communication is just the way forward, be it in your relationship or be it in the rehearsal studio, isn't it? It's just the way. And in terms of anything intimate, for me, in my experience, it's been on stage mainly. In terms of screen, I haven't experienced that yet.
You haven't had to do any medical scenes or birthing scenes
I did do a birthing scene, actually.
There you go.
Birthing scene. I did in a short film, but it was a sort of very small crew, and it was my
Well,
best
close set.
friend,
Yeah.
and it was my husband to be.
Yeah.
It was a very safe environment.
Yeah. Well, that's one
It's
with-
funny now, but if I mean, that would be a very different thing now.
Yeah, and but also, like you say, see, doing a birthing scene, that's
Yeah.
very, very intimate.
Yeah.
You know, not just for yourself, but also for the people who are in the room on cans. It's a closed set.
Yeah.
You said it was a safe environment, so that's
Yeah.
wonderful that was created.
Yeah.
That there was a closed set, a closed environment. You felt safe and able to do your best work, and you know, you didn't feel so. You felt safe doing that, I presume. You say.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But I think apart from that, it's really been on stage, and like that. It's just the difference from even 5 years ago to now. It's enormous.
The landscape has changed dramatically.
And I think my view on it all has massively changed as well. I'll be totally honest. In the beginning, I was like, I'm not into. I've been a dancer. I'm not into it. You know, I just want to get on with it. It's just work to me.
Yeah.
Because also, for me, it has always been about the choreography of it.
Well, that's it, because
how-
your background,
yeah.
which has really helped underpin your understanding of what you're doing. It's no different than working with a stunt coordinator. You're choreographing a fight.
Yeah.
You're working with intimacy, or if you're working with a director and you're using choreography, and that feels natural to you as a
Absolutely.
dance practitioner or a movement-based practitioner. So you understand that language.
Yeah, and then it's my job to make that look instinctive.
Yes. Yeah.
But I went through a period of in terms of, you know, in a play, if I had to be, you know, I've had to do some fairly intimate things on stage, and I think I went through a zone of an era of going, well, no, I just want to be free in that moment and be comfortable to find what happens. But actually, I've realised that no, we have a framework for everything we do, don't we? You know, be it on set, I have to hit that mark. And be on stage, you know, I have to respect the lighting design. So I have to make sure that I'm delivering that monologue in that space, and it's my job to make it look natural. It's my job to instinctively move to that area and do it in that space, or pick up that prop, or slap them that way, so the audience doesn't see. So
all
actually, there's no
choreographed.
difference.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think what it is, once you've got the parameters in place.
Yeah.
So say we're working on an intimate scene, and you know that this hand's going here, that hand's going there. You also, when you're in those moments, it's been choreographed, and you are not worrying, is that hand going to move to somewhere different tonight?
Yeah.
And you're not panicking about that. You know, you actually then, you're still in your place, you're still in your character, and you're able to do your best work and carry on within the scene. But like you say, when you've got the parameters in place, and you know you're hitting that beat there, all the lovely juiciness and all the bubbles and all the emotion and all the spicy stuff in between can really bubble to the surface, because you're feeling safe within the choreography. Hi, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. Don't forget, you can follow me on Instagram and also on the old Tickety Talk. If you don't want to see this face, but you just want to hear my gorgeous voice and grab some intimacy on the go, you can get the extended audio version by following the links below. Do you think that there's a different approach when you're working with actors now with intimacy? Say there's a scene and you're directing, because I know you directed a director also. When you're directing and you're working with actors, do you feel that you would approach scenes of intimacy? You know, it could be medical, it could be a birthing scene, it could be a lovely relationship between a father and son. Do you feel you approach those scenes different with actors as you do when you're working with intimacy, when you're working with dancers?
Yeah, I think you have to approach it differently with everybody.
Good idea.
It is
Yes.
what I would say. So sort of if I'm working on movement with someone, like I've coached quite a bit on some movies as well, people to dance and if that's needed, and everybody needs something a bit different. You have to get to know someone and see what they respond
Everybody's
to.
process is different.
Everyone's different, and I truly believe in treating people in the way that they're going to respond to, because you're going to get the best out of someone if you adapt to them, you know. So yeah, I think definitely what I love working with dancers. I love working with actors who were dancers. That's my favourite.
That's lovely, isn't it?
Because there's a discipline, and there's a, you know, okay, let's get back to here, and they get there and they start and they go all day, and there's like there's such a discipline to them, which I absolutely love.
It's interesting because you say that. I love when I'm working on a play with actors where there's a lot of dancing who've never danced. I find that a challenge because day one, I start the first couple of weeks, I stand there and go, oh my God. Okay. And I love that challenge of going, okay,
Yeah.
I've got 3 weeks to make you, like, it'll be an actor who, as long as they're in it and they go, okay, I want to get this, and they're working hard, and they're, you know, they're giving, I will give all the time in the day, all the time up for them, and I will work so hard. And I love seeing how actors suddenly at the end of that process, they go, I can't actually believe I'm doing the steps and doing what I'm doing now. I love that element of it.
Yeah, no, I do too, because actually sometimes the outcome's better because they approach it from a story point of view.
It comes from a very, very... See, and actors, obviously, who've had the dance background, you know, sometimes naturally want to... See, on a show that I've worked on a national tour, one of my notes was to one of the actors, you need to look shitter.
Oh, no dancer's going to want to hear that.
And he goes, oh! I was like, you look like a dancer. Stop it.
Yeah.
You never have done a dance class in your life. Your character would never... You'd look too good.
Yeah. That's interesting,
and he'd go,
isn't it?
Oh! I'm like, forget everything you've ever been told.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, isn't it, when working with actors and...
But I think what I like with somebody who's sort of comes from a dance background, I think there is sometimes a shorthand in terms of the intimacy as well. Is
remembering beats, remembering
choreography, and also just just more experience of having been touched and lifted and being aware of your body. It's funny, isn't it? I always think people always go, oh, you're used to, you know, you're used to not wearing much. You trained as a dancer, you're in tights all the time, or you're confident with your body. I was like, well, it's not because you have to wear a unitard that you're comfortable with your body.
Yes.
It's just something you have to do. If anything, you're probably more uncomfortable looking at yourself in the mirror all day long with not much on. You know, that doesn't mean that I'm confident about how I look, but it does mean that I know very quickly where to put my body, what the shape needs to be for the camera, what the angle needs to be for the audience. I get that because that's kind of what we've done. I've done since I was 3. You know?
And like you say, you're able to get to that place very, very quickly in comparison to some people. It's a much bigger journey, and when they find it's a much bigger journey to get to that place, it can. That's when actors can start feeling vulnerable, and then they start getting in their head and all these things, you know. Right, Kate, I'd love to. Last question. What advice would you give just an actress getting into the business, and they are in rehearsals, and they, maybe need to speak up about something for themselves? Any tips?
I would say speak up for yourself.
Speak up for yourself.
If you want to, and the only thing stopping you is fear, then speak up for yourself. And if you're lucky enough to have somebody who is there in your corner
to advocate for you,
have that chat with them and just speak. I think last thing I'll say, I just remembered, as you said it then, I just remembered that a couple of years ago, my husband was doing a show, and gorgeous young actress / dancer, singer in it was really struggling with some of her costumes that she'd been given. It was the first time she was playing a good part, you know, and didn't like the wig and didn't feel the costumes and was upset, and he was, I don't know what to say, you know, I don't really know how to deal with this situation. And I was like, well, I've got 15 years on her and I've been in that situation. I'd really like to come and talk to her if she's happy to talk to me. And I think it was that. It was sort of, she was so ingrained in, I can't complain, or I can't do this. And I was like, well, why can't you? You're the one on stage
for the next 9 months.
You're the one wearing that. If you don't feel comfortable in
How
that, then
get...
everything's a discussion.
Yes.
I think sometimes younger, or maybe people from I always go back to a dance background, but maybe it's the same for any actor. It's just that was such a big part of my training. Is I think you just think, well, this is what I'm giving, so this is what I'm going to wear, or this is what... I spent so many years uncomfortable in costumes or wearing bad shoes.
Awful.
And now I'm like, no.
Yes.
I'm not wearing that.
I've said this before, been given second-hand jocks. And you're like...
You've got to draw the line.
There's a
somewhere.
line, literally. Yeah.
I love that.
You know?
Joke. But you just... It's just having that courage to, even if somebody is speaking down to you, or you know, you don't feel like you can, you always can. It's just a conversation. That's the thing. It's just a conversation.
Kate, thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you for coming in and speaking to Intimacy 360. It's been gorgeous to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
That's a wrap. Hey. Hey, lovely people. Make sure you subscribe and like and press that notification bell to keep up to date with all future episodes.